Hello, everyone. Welcome to Game Junk Prototype, Episode 6, recording on April 4th, 2020. My name is Frank.
My name's Sean.
My name's Andrew.
We're going to be talking some Resident Evil 3 remake and maybe some other news involving a Last of Us 2 cancellation, the state of next gen and other games in this Corona life, and what's going to happen with all these games, and maybe a few other things. But everything going okay this week? I feel like you guys haven't gamed as much this week, which is fine. I just maybe you're burnt out on the games.
Oh, we're not burnt out on the games.
No?
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's a very different world when you've got kids at home, and now with school restarting and stuff, it's going to be tricky.
Yes.
But hopefully we could still find the time to do some gaming.
My life is stress-free. It's beautiful. Everyone appreciates you and your families dedicating some time to do this podcast. People need their content. They're starving for it. And we've got to give it to them. Okay? So thanks to everyone and their families for making this happen. All right. Let's do news quick. Big news after we talked ad nauseum about the crunch environment and shipping Last of Us 2. It got delayed almost exactly right after we talked about it. So what do you guys think? Is this the state of games going forward? Are we going to see a bunch of cancellations? I'm kind of surprised. We're going to talk about this game too, but Resident Evil 3 is releasing right now, released on Friday. And I don't know if this is coincidence, I'm assuming, but they're really the game leans into the idea of a pandemic, particularly in seem like low budget FMV stuff at the beginning of the game. So I've never played the original Resident Evil 3. So feels like I don't want to say taking advantage because they were always planning on releasing now, but it's perhaps benefiting them where other games, I'm actually surprised they canceled. We'll get into it, but what do you guys think?
Well, I just in terms of you would assume we've seen movies getting delayed, obviously movies that are in production, the productions are getting shut down. That all makes sense. I think a lot of people are thinking, well, why can't game companies keep working? People can just work from home, right? And that's one interesting thing I've been wondering about, because now that I'm out of the game industry, I've always noticed in the game industry that very few game studios let people work from home, either for sort of NDA security reasons, or just because you need a really powerful computer, and a lot of people just don't have those at home. And from what I understand, I think a lot of places now are letting people remote into their work PCs, but that's slow, and I can only imagine that's slowing down the process. But then I guess there's also the sort of supply chain issues of actually creating physical copies, which is probably what's doing it to The Last of Us, I think. Did anybody confirm that?
I did not confirm that.
I can't get information on the reasons at all, to be honest.
I would agree with you, Sean, though, about the latter point, that it's the computers at home that's the problem. And I think when you suddenly can't go into your office, you can't guarantee that everyone's going to have a powerful PC at their house, especially running a game like The Last of Us or any other cutting edge games. You're going to need a probably quite powerful PC, and
dev kits.
Yeah, especially for Last of Us. Definitely, they every guy working on some little graphical thing that's only going to run on the PS4. So you definitely need to then, or the company will either need to, like you were saying, have everyone remote in, which adds some sort of IT troubles with needing extra security, and then also just having everyone either buy their own computer and reimbursing them, or supplying them one, and that'll take time. You can't just do that, especially on a team like at Naughty Dog. I'm sure they have at least 200-300 plus people that they'll need to do that, and you don't want to just lose track of where those computers go. So you'll need to track that thoroughly. And there's just a whole logistical nightmare, I think, involved that will delay it. Now, Frank, you said, will we see cancellations? I don't think we'll see cancellations like we're seeing more in movies, but I think we'll definitely see delays, mainly because the amount of time, or at least how efficient people can be, will definitely drop. And also this delay in getting computers will slow things down for everyone.
So in the interest of full disclosure, we have changed our audio setup. Technical difficulties ensued. We are continuing from where we last let off. Frank is going to snap. Dev kits and the quality of PCs required for game development and why that could delay games. Certainly, manufacturing is a concern with next-gen consoles. The reason why I was surprised that they're not shipping, and this is a weird part of the industry that I know nothing about, and I don't know why. It seems really weird to me, but I'm surprised they didn't want to ship, and because it's a Sony game, basically make an extra 30% on the online store. Like, if they just ship digitally, they would be like, cutting out the retail market would make them a ton of money. Not every game could do that, but like a game this big, I figured they would be pushing it because they want more digital sales. That might be a cynical thought to have, but I was surprised.
So I think that's assuming that the reason they're delaying is because of manufacturing the disc, but I would think it's probably because they can't fix the bugs.
Most of the rumors and speculation saw it was like supplier concerns and, the idea of people going out to get this game and maybe generating bad PR, to get a physical copy and special editions. Special editions might be a big factor. Like, people have pre-ordered those, and how do pre-orders work in that world? And
yeah, I think that's got to be a big part of it, because pre-orders are a big deal. And if people pre-ordered physical, they're not going to change to digital, I assume. I mean, maybe they could offer like a digital in the meantime, but then would they lose money on that? I don't know.
They make a ton of money.
Well, but I'm saying, like, if they offered a digital copy for free to somebody who pre-ordered the physical.
Yeah. But pre-order, you can cancel that at any time. It's not like a contract or anything like that. Like, they have to give them a refund.
Yeah, they probably don't want to do that, though.
People who did that, but I mean, it's weird. It's like it's one of these nice core things that like I don't know. I don't know which is the nice thing to do, to not ship it, or like to say indefinitely, which I assume is at the behest of retailers, versus as soon as we can, which is in the interest of gamers. So obviously there's corporate decisions going on there that I know nothing about, but I was kind of surprised that they said indefinitely, or didn't give more reasons as to why. And I guess it's probably for the reasons I said. You're going to piss off somebody, so just don't say anything.
Yeah, I think there's another thing that no one's really talking about, and I think it has to do with the fact that people are sitting at home now. We're pretty early into the quarantine, but it's looking like the quarantine is going to last at least another month or two, and people aren't going to be getting their government checks to like help cover, wages that they may have lost probably for, at least a couple weeks. People could start getting stressed out about money, and I bet we're going to see a real quick drop in digital sales of games.
That too.
And
yeah,
and they could just not want to risk launching one of their big AAA titles like everyone else that's moving it, and potentially have people with no buying power at all out there. And so they kind of are wasting one of their premier titles when people just can't buy it. Now people might buy it later. It might have a really long tail, but if they are, counting on this for their shareholders and everything to really be a big spike, they might be better just delaying it so they can make a big splash and get more sales later on down the road. Once this is all kind of cleared up, hopefully in a few months, and then, people are slowly ramping back up with their job prospects and able to have disposable income again. Because I think right now people are happy to have digital games to play and download and binge on, like you're doing over there, Frank. No kids, and the rest of us, Sean and I, we'll probably buy some just to try to keep our sanity as well. But if this goes on longer, people aren't going to have that free cash just lying around.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point, actually, because I mean, a lot of people would probably say this is a great time to release a game, right? And probably a good time for indie games that are digital download only to try and get their game out there right now, because they kind of have this captive audience. But I mean, yeah, things could definitely change a couple months from now, and yeah, people could be struggling to pay bills. So,
I mean, truly cynical view here. They wanted to delay it anyway, for like they need more time. They want to line it up closer to PS5. They want to line it up closer to the TV show, whatever reason there is. Although, if anything, the TV show has proved to add longer tails to games, with stuff like The Witcher 3 selling higher than it ever has as a result of the TV show. So that's debatable as well. But
The Witcher 3 is a bigger beast, though, because that game is like 1,000 hours long and no one finished it. So, you could always go back and play it again.
I mean, sales spiked when the Netflix show came up, right? Like but they said they sold more than they've ever sold. So.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess I'm just saying, like, people may have bought that, and then when the show came out, they're like, oh yeah, I should go back to that. And then they bought it on like Switch or something. And so they're getting like double dipping sales, and they haven't beat it the first time, kind of thing.
All right. Yeah. So we'll see. There's going to be more cancellations. Going to be an interesting time. Lots of people that want to play. Will retailers become a huge looming factor here? Anyway, moving on. I'm sure we'll be talking about this for a ways to go here. Resident Evil 3 released on Friday. I've played it. I beat it. I'm on my second playthrough right now. I had just platinumed Resident Evil 2 Remake very recently, so it really does. I mean, they're reusing assets, not that many, but some for the city. All the controls, everything feels the same, which I like. It starts in first-person mode, which I thought maybe I wasn't paying attention properly, and I wasn't aware that they'd switched to first-person mode for this game. But it switches to third-person mode. I'm happy about that. I like my Resident Evil in third person. But I really enjoyed the game. It does seem like a substantial drop-off from Part 2. But I don't know much. I played Resident Evil 2 on PS2, on the original PlayStation, pardon me. I did not play Resident Evil 3. So I don't know if this was always kind of a known thing with the game, where it's much shorter, like pretty linear. There's not much backtracking like the classic Resident Evil. And I know we've talked in the past with Resident Evil 5 and other games that they kind of got away from this horror aspect, and I don't know if they found people actually, maybe not the hardcore fans, but casual fans preferred the action approach, and this game definitely favors an action approach versus a horror approach. But very short, but enjoyable. I like short games. That doesn't bother me. But I would say if $80, yeah, if you're not interested in the multiplayer mode, it's a bit of a stretch. I got to be honest.
Wow, this is a new Frank here. I've never heard this before.
I'm cool with it.
Putting value on length of game. Okay.
How come are strapped for cash potentially? And if you got to make decisions right now, and you're deciding between games, this might be one you wait for. You know what? If you say fuck it, I'm buying everything. Buy. Hashtag buy. That's my motto. No problem. I liked it, but I just a little disclaimer there.
Okay. Well, I mean, I played a little bit of the demo. I think you played through the whole demo, Huck City.
Yeah, I felt it ended kind of abruptly though, so I don't know if I probably missed some stuff in the demo, because it said there was like 20 dolls to destroy in the demo, and I found one.
No, that's the game.
Okay, so they're just probably well hidden. I thought it was really polished. Now, I didn't play the RE2 remake at all or the demo, and I really liked it. I'm not a big horror game guy, but I thought the atmosphere was incredible. The graphics are great. Gameplay felt good. Yeah, I don't know. I liked what I played. It seemed really good. There was one frustrating thing I had where the zombie would catch you. I don't know if this is the same in the final game, and then you get this like button mash quick time event to mash the A button or whatever, and then you get bitten anyways, even though it seems like you completed it properly. I guess maybe that's just like how much health the guy takes off. I don't know how that works. It wasn't well explained.
If you don't mash A, you'll die, pretty much.
Oh, okay.
Which
that makes sense then.
In Resident Evil 2, they had a system where you had backup weapons, where grenades, you could use them in those moments, and it's like a risk reward with your resources, where you can either take the health hit or react with things, which is gone from this game. I'm kind of surprised. As is dodge, which was really handy. There's like this quick dodge now, which I'm really used to Resident Evil 2, so I was not as crazy about it, and I found myself getting killed by Nemesis and other things where I wouldn't have in previous games, or the previous game, I should say. So it's weird what they decided to take out for this. I'm sure part of it was being true to the original Resident Evil 2 or design restrictions compared to the other one. But it does, I mean, it's one thing I do like. Well, I don't know if I like it or not. Like Resident Evil 2, you could play as two characters the entire campaign, and there's campaign Bs for each one. That's not in this game. It's basically two characters you're alternating back and forth with, and it's basically one version of the game. It is neat, and I'm sure this was part of the original, but they're like setting up story moments, like a prequel almost, where things that happen in Resident Evil 2, you're seeing how they got there, or what happened right before you got to an area in Resident Evil 2, which is kind of a cool thing in games, especially having played them so close together. But yeah, it's a really like highly polished, fun game. Short, not my biggest complaint by any means, but it just seems design wise less interesting than Resident Evil 2. It really is going down this action oriented approach. The puzzles are almost non-existent compared to Resident Evil 2. And I guess that was just the way the series went. Like people have talked about that more so specifically with 5 and 6. But I don't know. I still like the action ones. I like 5. What I played of 6, I thought it was kind of got a bad rap. One thing I'll add, sorry, Sean, one more thing. I do like the idea that every Resident Evil game is like on the new consoles. Like they've basically gone and updated games systematically. Some are like different console generations, but they're constantly kind of reinvigorating the series. And like you could play through all of Resident Evil, every Resident Evil game on almost any console right now. And Final Fantasy is taking somewhat similar approach, but I just think that's cool. I like that you can kind of revisit the whole series, and you know the Mario remake's coming. I love that that's where games are going. Like kind of getting all these great games are always going to be available forever.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool that, you know, they're remakes, but, you know, it is a new experience, right? It's a new way to play the game. They're kind of tweaking things. And I mean, Resident Evil 4 is probably one of my favorite games of all time. I haven't, like, Resident Evil 1 through 3, I am not that familiar with those games. And I've tried to go back and play them before these new remasters or remakes or whatever they're called, and I found them close to unplayable because of the controls and stuff. So I mean, I liked what I saw in the demo for Resident Evil 3. I'm going to go back and play 2 before I play through 3. But there is something about that balance of action and horror that I really liked in part 4, and I did like 5 quite a bit as well, but I know that's more actiony. Curious though, like from what I played of part 3, it felt very horror, like very like I didn't have a lot of bullets. I was like constantly boxed in by zombies. It was very claustrophobic. I was not feeling the action element, but maybe that's just the demo. Or
in comparison to part 2, it's extremely unclaustrophobic. Like there's huge city streets. There are some narrower hallways, but in general, the rooms are way bigger. And um, yeah, you can feel it going down a different path. And there's like, by the end of the second one, there's this huge police station, and you're kind of getting used to the intricacies of it and how to get around. That's kind of lost in these games. By the second half of the game, you're just plowing through. I was never questioning, oh, do I go here? How do I get to this place most efficiently? It's like, well, just go this way, and eventually you're going to get there pretty much for everything. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's probably depends on what you like in these types of games. I know Huck hates backtracking, so maybe he prefers that. But I don't know. It's pretty good. Sean, I'm surprised. Like these are the games you should be playing. You don't like long games. They're like,
yeah, you're right. I mean, they're next on my list for sure. I think I hit a point. I'm pretty close to the end of Ori, and I'm on like the final chase thing, and I'm kind of like I'm giving it a rest because I'm wishing I played on easy.
Are you in the like the digging one through the
yeah,
like, okay.
With the burrowing mechanic, which I thought the mechanic was cool up until this chase, but anyway.
Did you try the multiplayer, Frank? Oh, sorry, Sean. Go ahead.
No, I haven't. It's a whole separate app, like, or executable in ID on PlayStation. So I'm really becoming like I need to platinum everything. So I'm not even gonna open it. I think I'm gonna delete it just in case, so I don't open it.
Can't have it polluting your trophy list.
So we'll see what happens. If I see it's an easy plat, might fire it up, but I don't know. Right now, not gonna happen. I'm
Is it free?
No, if you buy if you buy Resident Evil 3, it comes with it. That's how they're very aware of the length and value compared to part 2. So that's how they added value. Presumably, the reviews have not been great from what I've seen, but I'm curious. We'll see.
Now, how was I know they redid part 1 like a couple of years ago, and it's not like the like over the shoulder style, right?
It kind of is. As far as I know, part 1 is basically the GameCube remake, which was like very high detailed images and no more tank. I can't remember if it had tank controls or not, but it's that version, but high def. Like all those images are high def as far as I know. But it's nowhere close to 2 and 3.
Okay.
So yeah. I mean, 2 and 3, they obviously did for reasons that I said, and why it only took a year between them. They're sharing a lot of the same systems, same assets. Probably, I mean, a lot of mocap stuff is different, but it's kind of cool. I like that they pump these out so fast. I hope we get part 1 and part 4 like in this version as well.
What about Code Veronica? Is that part 4 or is that?
That would be 3.5, I think, right? That came out, or maybe technically 3.75. I'm trying to think of Resident Evil. No, that was before Resident Evil 0 on GameCube, I think. So
I feel like it was on Dreamcast or something like that.
It launched on Dreamcast, yeah, and that was before 0, I believe. I could be wrong though. But yeah, I love Resident Evil. I think it's kind of cool that it's still pretty solid design wise, and if anything, it's gotten better without tank controls and waiting for doors to load. Like, it's amazing. Yeah. It's kind of what you might have envisioned it could always be back in 1996 or whatever. So,
how about those jump scares, Frank?
This one I didn't jump once.
No. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd probably give it a 4 out of 5. I'm enjoying it. Should have it platted by Tuesday. Should be good to go. Moving on. So probably need to wrap up. Who knows how viable this episode is. I am currently playing Final Fantasy VII the HD remake on PS4, trying to get ready for the remake on Friday. So we'll see if I beat it this week. I doubt I will. I do want to get at least till where the remake ends. So I'll be picking that up. Other than that, I did not buy Panzer Dragoon. So full disclosure, I refuse to buy it on Nintendo. I might end up buying it. I kind of want to support it just because I love the idea of it, but I hate that it's only on Switch. It really pisses me off. I can't explain why. It just, well, I can, but let's not get into it again.
It's completely irrational.
And yeah, we'll see what happens there. If anyone's playing anything new this week. And I guess Modern Warfare 2 Remastered launched this week as a surprise release as well. And it's only $26.
I can mention one game I just realized I was playing that I think just came out this week as well. It's on Steam. It's a tiny puzzle game. You could even say a mindfuck. It's called Oneiros or Oneiros. I don't know exactly how you say it. It's Oneiros, and it's sort of like half escape room, half puzzle game where you're playing as a character that seems to be almost lost in some sort of dream state, and then there is a whole bunch of sort of like locked room puzzles. And I played for about an hour and kind of got stuck at one puzzle, and I have not been able to get past it, and I haven't gone back. But I was enjoying what I played. I thought it was going to be a lot lower production values, but it's got lots of voice acting, lots of really good music. The graphics look really good. I was really impressed with it from what I played, and I think it was only like $10 or something. It was pretty cheap, so something to look into if you're looking for kind of like a escape room puzzle game.
I'll just throw in a quick mention for something you guys talked about a while back. Been playing Riverbond, which I know you guys were kind of like, yeah, it was okay.
Trash.
Didn't really get it. I gotta say, the perfect scenario for this game, playing it with the kids, local co-op. It's a lot of fun. Like it's the graphics I like, voxel kind of artwork. It's just a hack and slash game. That's all there is to it.
Now, is this
we played through all 9 levels.
Is this because the kids are playing and you are not playing and just you're watching them?
I mean, I'm playing.
Okay. Direction to kind of make it for kids. I love the art style. That was not my issue. I just design-wise, I felt it was so simple and
very simple. Death, there's almost no consequences, which is great for kids. But the one thing is, it kind of reminded me of what Minecraft Dungeons is going to be, but hopefully better, because that's coming out in a couple months.
I found the weapons really boring and cumbersome too.
There's some fun ones.
I only tried the first 2, and the basic sword sucked, and shooting the basic gun was annoying.
Every level you get like 3 or 4 new weapons that you can use, and some of them are kind of jokes, but some of them are actually pretty cool. So, I mean, it is what it is, but I feel like you guys didn't totally give it a fair shake.
I'd give everything a fair shake except for Switch exclusives. Not Nintendo Switch exclusives. Come on. All right. We have to wrap it up, unfortunately. I blame myself. I'm sorry to the listeners. We'll get back at you soon enough, though. And anything else? Anything to add?
Nope. I think that's it.
Okay, I apologize to both of you, too. I fucked this. Well, I didn't fuck this up. Some action. It's fucking up my life.
It's all good, man. We got something here, I think.
I hope so. Anyway, we'll hopefully check in with everybody next week. And thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Okay, Sean. Sorry I have to take another break, but we have to use the Skype version.
Okay.
Okay, so
we'll see. This may be unsalvageable right now.
So let's just move on, get to Resident Evil 3 and see if this thing even has anything.
Okay.
Okay.